an illegal immigrant who crosses the border, running from law enforcement, who then gives birth, and that kid now has more rights than Serge does. And Serge is someone who came here, worked really, really hard legally to become a citizen. I think it's an interesting question. I think Cenk is right about that. I disagree with him politically, but I do think there's a problem where illegal immigrants can come here, have kids, and then that kid could be a president.
Or anyone.
I think that's pretty interesting. I like this idea, this naturalized citizens can become president thing. I think that's what it is in a lot of places. I think that's probably what it is in Canada and the UK, which would be most similar, I think, to us, although I'm not sure. But the thing that means is no amnesty, no like mass amnesty for 8 million illegal immigrants who randomly walked across the border or got flown in after making an appointment on an app as to when they would illegally cross the border and get, their asylum date. So yeah, I think that would work. Remove birthright citizenship, go with naturalized citizens can become president, but then absolutely, if you entered the country illegally, no, you can never become then you should never be able to become a naturalized citizen. Maybe something like that. Just spitballing here. But like there should be really strict rules. If we're opening up the privileges, then access to those privileges needs to be earned in a really serious way. You can't just wander across the border, be part of a mass amnesty, and then run for president.
But let me do this real quick and jump to this tweet. We can carry on the conversation. I want to point out, just because you were born here doesn't mean you will be a good leader, as exemplified by this tweet. Breaking 911 says,
true.
The entire administration is incompetent. In this tweet, @POTUS tweets, tune in at 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow evening for my plan on how we get this done. And as you can see, it was sent at 5:05 p.m. March 6, 2024, to listen to the State of the Union 2023 on February 7th.
Fire the graphic design.
What?
Okay. Here's my assumption as to what happened. The metadata on the URL had not been changed when they tweeted this out. So
happens.
Twitter sent last year's
They should
data.
have scraped it. Like, do they not know you can scrape things?
You click a button. You click debug.
You click it 100 million times
At least
often
test
before
it.
it works.
You have to have a burner account.
But like,
can-
if you're
you can-
posting that, like, don't you see the preview? When I post stuff, I see a preview,
you're
and a lot
supposed
of
to
times
test
I'm
it.
like, nah, not that. I'm gonna fix it.
I think they deleted this. But
there
the
it is.
conversation we were having was birthright citizenship and the right of people to be president if they weren't born here and things like that. And I just like to ask you a question. Who would you rather have, Joe Biden or Dinesh D'Souza?
Oh, Dinesh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and he wasn't born here. And so
No.
that's an interesting question.
But he's really fascinating and smart.
Right.
Yeah.
And he loves this country, and he's fought for this country in ways that we appreciate. And so
It looks like his son-in-law is going to end up in Congress. He's got a good shot.
oh, right on. But it's an interesting question because I certainly understand the risks of allowing people who aren't born here from being president. But I just love the idea. Like, they should have answered this question after the Civil War when they introduced this birthright citizenship stuff. It's like, hey, you do realize if you have to be born here to be president, but anyone who's born here can be a citizen, that's going to create a whole bunch of problems, right?
I think that this comes from the time when, I don't know when this law was made, 200 years ago-ish, when people, if they came across the southern border illegally, undercover, and had a baby, and then they fled back to Mexico, and then they came back 20 years later and were like, there's no way to even show that the kid was born in the U.S., so there's no proof. You need to get there, stabilize, prove it, get documentation, and that's how you would even prove that you were born in the country. Now, with all this new digital tech, cameras and radios and stuff, it's more easy to track if someone was born here, even if they don't go through the work.